Hi there, I'm Renee, this is Movie Juice, and coming up we've got some quality Aussie content. Guy Pearce talks about Traitor and the scary one I like, Dying Breed. But first, here's what's making headlines in movie news. Russell Crowe is reported to be playing both Robin Hood and the Sheriff of Nottingham in the next big screen adaptation of the forest-dwelling do-gooder. And here's the point of difference. Robin will start out as a bad guy and the Sheriff a good guy. Then they'll switch somewhere in the middle of the movie. It'll be like one becoming the other. The good go bad and the bad turn good. But they'll still all be Russell. And in big news for us, Movie Extra Tropfest is beaming live into your place on February 22. As well as this global crowd pleaser, the Trop Vault series screens 6 of the best ever short films made for Tropfest. So park your remote on Movie Extra in November and December for the most entertaining bite-sized bits of celluloid ever made. I know I'll be there. And now for some good news about Australian film, the long-awaited release of Dying Breed. I first heard about this new horror flick from Nathan Phillips and Lee Winnell. He's the co-creator of the Saw franchise, when we were all at the Melbourne International Film Festival a couple of years ago. Corker of a story, a bunch of people in Tasmania stumble upon another bunch of people who have lived fairly isolated for a long time. They're related to the Pie Man. He was a cannibal. Some of the cast lived to tell me the tale.
There's something out there in the trees.
Here, doggy, 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 doggy.
There's Rebecca.
Babe!
I heard some sound.
What sounds? What sounds? Shit! Ah! Babe!
Nathan, you're doing more for Aussie tourism than I think Paul Hogan did. You know, a lot of people went to South Australia after Wolf Creek, and now, after Dying Breed, a lot of people will probably go to Tasmania looking for the Pie Man.
I definitely think Tasmania comes up with trumps because it's cinematically stunning, and it shows the film in the film shows Tasmania in a beautiful way. And yes, it's a haunting character in the film, and it's so harsh, and it's, you know, coldness, and you see how cold it is. Literally, I got pneumonia. That's how cold it was there.
There are some little pockets of idiosyncratic community around Tasmania that is unique, I have to say.
Jody wanted to make a film that portrayed Tasmania in a different light, which is why he wrote a script about inbred cannibals setting upon a bunch of tourists. And I think it's going to be good for the citizens to have a mirror held up to them.
You know, I love that we got a really good look at the Pie Man about 3/4 of the way through the film. He kind of looked like Bill Hunter on the way home from a big night at the pub. But with really evil teeth.
Are actually
I'm never going to watch that.
I think these guys are actually in legal trouble. They broke the law of Australia. I think you are legally required to put Bill Hunter in your film if you make it in Australia.
Means a lot to us. Keep the family going.
Said simple Simon to the pieman, then I'll die tonight.
Will it be a hit? Who knows? But I'm sure the Pie Man will develop quite a following among horror buffs. Now we'll take a look at another Australian film out this week. It's written and directed by a guy called Dan Castle. It's set in Newcastle. It's shot in Newcastle, and it's called Newcastle. Naturally, I wanted to know more, so I sat down with the cast to find out more.
Let's do this. Yeah! Best 2 waves, 2 blokes go through. No! It's my wave! What are you doing this weekend?
You guys going somewhere?
Now that I've heard your accent, how did you become such an expert on Newcastle?
Just being there, just going back and forth over 7 years. And it took me 5 years to actually make the movie. But I saw it for the first time 7 years ago this last weekend.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Newcastle, Delaware.
No way.
Yeah.
And you came to Australia to make a film about Newcastle?
Yeah. I was inspired by it. The actual town, my initial reason for going there was just research, thinking, I'll just get what I can and then go back to America and live my life and eventually make a surf film in America. But when I saw the town, I was like, there is no other place on the earth that can be for this film. This is it.
So tell me about the audition process, because most people tend to fib or lie in order to get a great part. Just how good a surfer are you?
Yeah, well, I was honest. I said I'm not the best surfer in the world, but I do surf a bit. I started when I was 12, and I've never done it competitively. I've always just done it like leisurely. So I had a surfing double.
I've seen a lot of surf footage, but nothing like I've seen in your film Newcastle. It's kind of like pornography for surfers.
When we were constructing the film and thinking about it, I said, you know, kids and surfers have a lot of access to surf porn. That's what they call it, surf porn. But I wanted to make a surf film that actually had surf shots with a point of view and a purpose. So it's not just, oh, it's a beautiful shot of a surfboard in the water. It's actually dramatically moving the story forward.
So if you want to see Newcastle on us, we've got 20 double passes to give away, all thanks to Icon Distribution. Here's how to score one. Go to moviejuice.com.au, hit freebies, give us your details and answer this question in 25 words or less. What was the best thing that happened to you during a childhood summer? Now, if I asked you what Richard Gere was in lately and you said, I bet it's another romance, you'd be right. He's become an expert in the Mills and Boon type predictable love story, and now he's in another one. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a bad film. It's just that making females sigh at his big screen roles has almost become his full-time job. Okay, well, his new one is called Nights in Rodanthe. It stars the eternally beautiful and talented Diane Lane and a fave TV actor of mine, Christopher Maloney. It reminds us that it's never too late for a second chance.
I want to come home.
Dad told me how he hurt you. I'm really sorry.
Have fun for the both of us. 4 nights, leaving Tuesday. Dinner is 7:30 if you prefer, because you are
The only guest.
Something wrong with your table?
Didn't want to eat alone.
Oh, well, you didn't come here for the beach.
No, I came here to talk to somebody.
Must have been very hurtful for you to be held responsible.
I think what's interesting about it is that how two people at a crisis moment of their lives can have an enormous impact on each other without any sense of grasping. It's transformative in a very clean sense of that. Beyond that, I've always loved Diane. We work well together and we're good friends, so it seemed like a natural.
How long have you been married?
What does that have to do with anything?
Can you even remember who you really are anymore? It's all about choices, Adrian. You make choices. You chose that life. You chose that man. Now you're going back to him, aren't you?
Just stop it. Just stop it! For me, a love story is something that allows a person to literally feel a little bit of healing in their heart because they see a story that gives them an example of that. And even if the situation doesn't turn out to be, and they lived happily ever after, it's not about necessarily the time you spend, but it's about what you take with you from the time that you did get to spend.
Your kids are very fortunate to have someone who loves them as much as you do. And any man is a fool who doesn't know how incredibly lucky he is to have you.
There's a kind of love that makes you feel that anything's possible. I want you to know that you can have that.
One weekend changed my life forever.
Now don't go away, because after the break we've got Don Cheadle and Guy Pearce on the show talking about their new movie Traitor. It's all coming up on Movie Juice.